All right, so now for MAGTHERIDON phase 2, we will fight MAGTHERIDON directly and only him. We have a misdirect coming from a hunter to the main tank, and the tank that was picking up the loose adds will keep doing that until they are despawned. They only last for 1 minute, by the way. Then we have new healing assigns, depending on what happens, and we have clicking assigns. And in order to explain all of that, I will explain what MAGTHERIDON does. So his first ability is a cleave. It's actually a chain cleave, which starts from the tank and will definitely one-shot basically anyone that is not a tank. It has and will keep killing plate wearers. It's absolutely possible. It has happened. It will happen again. If at any time you are in front of MAGTHERIDON for some reason, and he is able to attack, then you need to Petri immediately. You want to be vocal about it. And whenever your Petri is about to expire, we will send a bop on you so that you don't die when coming out of Petri. So yeah, that's the cleave. As I said, it's a chain cleave. It's not a cone, so it kind of can be tricky in like the shape it takes. It could like jump on his side if there's too many people clumped up, like doing like literally chaining, or it could go like much further. And yeah, so it's a chain cleave. Be sure of that. And it's only 3 targets maximum. So yeah. One other thing to note is he hits really, really hard, so you want big, big heals on the main tank, and that is also why you need to be using your mana pots and dark runes as often as you can, because it's very mana intensive fight. Then another ability he has is called Quake. So basically, every so often he will make the floor tremble, and we will all be kind of knocked 6 times in a row, once every second, and random-ish directions. And basically, I say random-ish because it kind of depends on his positioning in the room. And that's why we have him in the center, so that most of the time you will be pushed outwards, and it reduces the chance of you getting pushed in front of him. But it's still possible due to RNG. So as I said, if somehow you find yourself in front of MAGTHERIDON and he can attack, you want to Petri. By the way, during Quake, he cannot attack. So while you are being bounced around, you are absolutely safe, and he makes you bounce 6 times. So if you find yourself in front of him for like the first to fourth bounces, you're still safe. That's fine, and maybe you'll get out from the other bounces. But yeah, if by the 6th bounce you are in front of him, you definitely wanna Petri. What else about this? Yeah, maybe let's show you what it looks like. There's some sort of like, I'm gonna show you right now. So right now he is quaking, so he stops stacking, he's channeling, and there's those little like ground VFX weird stuff that appear on the floor, and basically it's just there to tell you we are being quaked, but it doesn't do damage. It's like nothing. So yeah, there's another VFX about like kind of like ground stuff-ish that you need to be careful of, and it's not this one. So as you can see right now, I'm being bounced in a direction, so outwards most of the time. And that's the first bounce, but there's going to be a second, a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And now if you were in front of the bus, you're definitely one Petri. Otherwise, you can consider yourself dead. As I said, it will one-shot a non-tank, even if you're wearing plate, even if you have like 14k HP. Yeah, it really does that. So yeah, that is Quake. Now, another ability that MAGTHERIDON has is he will put fire on the ground under players' feet. So people will be selected at random, and there will be patches of fire that spawn under you. You just want to move out of them. When you are in them, what happens is you just get a dot that will damage you even when you leave the fire. So that's why you want to like really avoid even like touching it for 1 split second because you'll take full damage anyway. And yeah, it is a dot. And when I explain later the cube mechanic, you need to understand that if you have the dot on you, it will cancel your cube clicking. So you need to be mindful of that. So now I guess, yes, the last ability that we need to think about for phase 2 is the cube mechanic. So every so often, MAGTHERIDON will start a cast, a 2-second cast that is called Blast Nova. And if he finishes this cast, he will start an 8-second channel that is also called Blast Nova. And when he is channeling every 2 seconds, we will take increasing fire damage, like raid wide, and this is enough to kill us all. If we take the damage from an entire blast wave, we are all dead. It's a wipe, basically. So the only way to stop MAGTHERIDON from using this ability is to click on the cubes, and which will start a channel from every one of those 5 cubes. And if all 5 players are channeling at the same time while he is doing the initial 2-second cast or the 8-second channel, he stops immediately. And while all 5 clickers are channeling their click, then he will take increased damage and stops attacking as well. So he's basically kind of banished, but in a vulnerable state. When you are clicking, you also take damage over time. So this is why we have healing assigns with those assigns right here: float, near moon and square, near skull and X and triangle, because that means you are assigned to healing the clickers on those positions. And yeah, you can stop healing the tank because, as I said, when he is both casting, channeling, and being banished, he does not attack. So yeah. Now, this is the part when everybody needs to lock in and really understand the intricacies of the cube clicking mechanic. The cube clicking mechanic is like the one mechanic that you can never fuck up. It's pretty easy to fuck up. It has happened. It has caused deaths, and it's one of the reasons why MAGTHERIDON is so feared. We've lost a lot of people in MAGTHERIDON, so you always need to be on top of your clicking game for this. So when you click the cube, if somehow your cast, so it will make you channel, right? If somehow your channel is cancelled by anything, you cannot clip the cube again for 30 seconds, which means that if you somehow fucked up because you cancelled it, I will explain all the ways you can do that in a bit. If no one picks up your clicking assign, then we all wipe, which is why we have a main, a backup, and a second backup assign for every single cube. So every time the window for Blast Wave will be close to opening, I will call for go near your cubes. This is your cue to go near your cubes if you are a main or a backup clicker. Both of those guys need to be near their cubes at 5 seconds before the window opens. The second backup becomes active if one of those is dead or stuck in a Petri or somehow can't do anything, like DC'd or too late, too far away, stuff like that. So, for example, if Rizomoon was stuck in Petri, then Theta would know, because you should know who is in front of you in the queue, and Theta would act as the backup. If Thalen was stuck in Petri, Rizomoon would act as the main and Theta as the backup. So at least 2 people every time need to go near their cubes. And be prepared to click 5 seconds before the window opens, which is when I say get ready to click anytime. Now, something that you really need to know about clicking is whether you are a clicker or not, you can never, ever, and I really cannot emphasize it enough, you can never linger on top of cubes or be too close to them. Never. The only time when you are the nearest to a cube is when you are clicking, and even then, you want to be max ranging the cube. Why so? Because as I said, there's different ways to cancel the channel, and if you take damage, it will cancel the channel. So if you are in the fire, it will prevent you from clicking. The thing is, as I said, the fire will spawn under the feet of people taken at random, which means that if you are trolling by standing on top of a cube and you are selected to have the fire spawn under your feet, you are making this cube completely out of reach from anyone, and we have to Petri out, and it's going to be on you. There's going to be people dying. You're going to most likely owe hundreds or thousands of gold to the guild. So just don't do that. And during phase 3, there's going to be another AoE that spawns on people at random. And so this one you also want to obviously not make appear on the cube. So every time you are clicking, you want to be max ranging so that even if there's fire over here, you could always go on the other side and click the cube from there. So now, open your ears and take notes. How could you fuck up the clicking? If you double click, it's over. You cannot click anymore, and you need to say it. If you move while you're clicking, then it will cancel your clicking again, and you're fucked. If you had auto attack turned on, or even for hunters, if you had a shoot turned on, there is a very real chance that your character will try to attack automatically while you are channeling, and this will cancel your casts. And this has happened. It caused a wipe, and we've had deaths to it. So don't think you are smarter than the game. We know how the World of Warcraft engine is kind of fucky with the whole auto attack, auto shoot mechanic, which is why whenever you are 5 potential seconds away from having to click, whether you're main or backup, you want to be doing nothing. And I mean it. I don't want to see any single person casting a spell or using shoot or basically doing anything rather than waiting at max range of the cube that you should be clicking. By the way, when you're the backup, and if you see that your main clicker is standing on one side of the cube, you want to be standing on the other side so that if suddenly fire spawns under their feet, you can immediately click and, take the assign. As I said, the fire is a dot, so even if you move out of the fire, you cannot click because you will be taking the dots for a few seconds, and that is more than enough for us to all die. So main on one side, backup on another side. Backup, it's your job to see where your main is, and you go to the other side. Also, backup, because you're supposed to be doing nothing while clicking could be anytime, while the window is open, you want to have your eyes on the main clicker. You don't want to have your eyes on the boss. This has caused wipes. You want to be looking at your cube, and if you see that when we call for clicking, there is no purple beam going from the cube to the boss, you want to immediately click it yourself. All right? Do not wait. It's your responsibility. So, something else that can cancel your cube clicking is having an offensive proc from one of your projectiles that was going. This is also why we want everyone that could be clicking soon to not be doing anything, because by the time your projectile goes to MAGTHERIDON, you might have to click, and if this projectile triggers some sort of proc from the Karazhan trinket, for example, then the proc will count as an offensive attack from you onto the boss and will cancel the clicking, which will result in a wipe. So do not do anything when you are one of the potential clickers and the window is open. You want to be having done nothing for 5 seconds before you could even need to click. So that is it for the cube clicking. Let me show you what it looks like. Oh, and one thing too. He can chain Quake into Blast Nova very, very fast. He actually can even interrupt Quake for, like, in order to cast Blast Nova immediately, which means we could be bounced like 4 times and immediately Blast Nova starts. This is very rare, but no matter what, if you see that the Blast Nova window opens very soon after Quake ends, you want to already go back to like the side of the room where your cube is, which is kind of what happened here. We just got quaked and Blast Nova is already opening in 10 seconds. So here I'm saying go near your cubes. You're seeing people move. Now clicking could be anytime. And this is exactly where I should be standing. You see right here, this hunter is max ranging the cube, and this warrior is the backup, or maybe he is the main and he's the backup, and they are not standing on top of each other. It would be even better if they were like each on each side, but that's fine because he's a melee. He doesn't want to like necessarily run all the way. That's fine. But they're waiting to having to click. And now, at any point now, he can start Blast Nova. You see that's the first cast, and we were fast on the clicking. So you see those 5 purple beams. So the clickers need to not do anything. Basically, it's a channel, so it will last as long as you're doing it. You will be receiving heals as you take damage from the continuous clicking. And everyone else that is not clicking, it will be pumping damage onto the boss as much as they can, because he takes increased damage during this. And for a few seconds, I think it's 10, he will also not attack. Even if you keep clicking, at some point, he will like stay awake. I mean, more like he will like awake and resume attacking the tank. And at that point, then the clickers want to stop clicking. So yeah, we want to use the maximum vulnerability window that we can. So yeah. You can see this fire right here. If it was placed on the cube, it could have been really bad. All right, so now we are going to be basically kind of resuming the same thing every single time. People go back to their DPS position. And also, yes, as I said, if you're not clicking, you want to pump damage, which means every time there should be 2 players ready to click on a cube. And when you are not the one clicking, then that's when you stop looking at the cube. You've verified that the purple beam is clearly going from your cube to the boss. That's when you want to like leave your cube clicking position and go back to wherever you need to be in order to DPS the boss. So for example, if you are the backup clicker and your main successfully clicks, then obviously like leave the cube and go DPS. So Blast Nova happening again, and boom, we are just pumping. That's it. Now, one thing about Blast Nova. So if we take 2 ticks of Blast Nova, we want everyone to instantly Petri and log out, because otherwise it's too much damage and it would be a wipe. So you specifically for Blast Nova, you need to be responsible for your own survival. You need to not wait for a Petri out call. If you take a second tick of Blast Nova, everyone knows and everyone will Petri. And that's what you need to do. There's no waiting, there's no dying. You Petri if you take a second tick. Taking one tick is still okay. It happens from time to time. That's fine. 2 ticks is a Petri out. And now phase 2 will end when MAGTHERIDON reaches 30% HP. And he will do a mechanic to transition into phase 3. And I will explain phase 3 in another video. But it's very important that we do not time the transition into phase 3 with a Blast Nova. Because, spoiler alert, we will be stunned. And if we're stunned, we cannot click. So it's extremely important that we make sure we stop damage if it's needed. It will always be called if it's needed, but you need to be very aware of the comms. You need to absolutely follow the call if it's said to stop damage around 30%. Right here, it's a really good timing on this VOD. We were at 35 just as Blast Nova had started its long cooldown again, so we could just push. But there could be other times where you, as a DPS, could have needed to wait. But now, let's go to phase 3.